and welcome back to the I Just Wanna Knit podcast. So good to see you again. My name's Elisa, and here on YouTube I just share a bunch of knitting inspiration and things that I am doing currently in my knitting project, and I like to do that in just a very similar format to other podcasters. And I have quite a bit to show. Well, I say that pretty much every week, but this week I have made quite a bit of progress on some of the projects I'm working on, and I also have some Mother's Day inspired gifts that I'm going to be working on, and I have some yarn to share. So with that being said, let's just jump right into this episode. I don't have any finished objects, which isn't a surprise because I'm in the middle of my Lanark sweater, and actually I should have a finished object. There's no time frame, but usually this project doesn't take me as long as it has, but I just haven't felt the energy, the want to really work on it as much. But I'll start with that as my first whip. So I am working on a lace sock, a shorty lace sock, and this pattern is by Drops. I believe it's like 223 something, like June jumpers. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'll put it on the screen. And I'm just knitting it in this little pattern, and I'm actually just on the toe decreases. So I think I have like 2 more rounds to go, and then I'm good to start decreasing for my toes and then cast off, which is really good because I thought I was going to possibly run out of yarn. I only had one skein, and I was kind of nervous about having shorties, but I think I will be fine since all I have left is the toe, and I can probably use this for some color work in the future. But I am very, very close to finishing. So this is a free pattern by Drops, and you can see the lace detail here. It's very simple. I think it's a great beginner for starting to get into lace. That's why I chose it. I really wanted something that would be really easy to follow, not too intricate, but still create a really pretty texture and design. And I was originally inspired by the Spring Ferns, I think is what it was called. I will insert a picture here of the pattern that inspired me, but there was a different pattern that I wanted to purchase, and I'm very finicky with my pattern budget, well, my knitting budget in general, so I can't just go and purchase every single knitting pattern in the world and think that I'm gonna knit it. So I decided that I was going to purchase a different pattern in the future, which I will talk about. I don't know this episode. I have talked about it in previous episodes, so if you're curious, you should be able to just watch like the last 2 or 3 and you'll see what I'm talking about. Or you can even watch my spring knitting pattern video, which I will add a tag for here. And in that, I will share a lot of the patterns I found really interesting and have aspirations to cast on. But about this pattern, so the way that the heel is constructed is you pretty much knit in stockinette, but I like a slip stitch heel. So I did that, and the funny thing about this, I think I talked about this on my last podcast too, is I didn't have the correct stitch count when I did the heel flap on the first sock. So I had like an even amount of stitches, which was good for this type of construction. But I had the correct stitch count this time on this sock, and because I had an even amount of stitches, the slip stitch heel flap doesn't really work the same. So you're supposed to end on a stockinette or on a knit stitch. Instead I ended on 2 knit stitches, so that way I wouldn't end on just a slip stitch. Long story short, it's a little bit different and it didn't work out perfectly, but I did the short row shaping correctly this time. There's no weird decrease like I did on these because I didn't do the shaping correctly. I had to make some quick little extra decreases right here. Instead, I have the shaping done completely perfectly, so it's nice and smooth. Not a bad design. I like it. It's pretty easy. It's got a nice cute little rolled edge at the very top here. And it's going by really, really nice. Like I said, I knew that once I started the foot, it would just go. And I did most of this in the car on the way to my mother-in-law's over the weekend. So it was super easy and pretty efficient. Not too intricate to where like I can't knit in the car. I actually find this very easy to follow. The pattern, once you get down the lace chart, it's very repetitive and easy, and I don't have to reference it at all. And now that I'm just doing the toe decreases, I'm following my own way of doing toe decreases, which really isn't my own way, it's just a very standard way for everybody to do toe decreases. And I'm just going to be following that. So I'm not even going to be referencing the pattern anymore and just going from there. I pretty much just followed the length of like the repeats. I followed the repeats that I had on this finished one and then did the same thing on here. The only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is you can tell just by looking at the sock that there's a lot more there's a lot more let me see if I can show you without having it all. So I'm talking about the decreases on the gusset section right here, right? There's a lot more of them on the finished sock than on the one I'm currently working on. I don't know if you can tell. And I'm worried that because of that this won't have enough depth in the heel, because I definitely didn't do as many rounds. I kind of just guesstimated, and then I found out that I picked up like 5 less stitches on each side than I did for this one, and that's kind of a big difference. So I'm hoping that this will still fit. They're not going to be perfect, they're going to be sisters, not twins. I just want this sock to not be too shallow because I don't like shallow socks. I have one of my socks is very shallow and it continuously falls off my foot and like gets all twisted and weird and wonky, and I don't like it. I really hope that comes out just as well as this one. This one fits my foot nicely, so we'll have to see. And again, I'll have plenty. If you are curious, this is Hobby's sock wool. It's their 4-ply rainbow sock wool, and it's 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and it's not superwash. I also tend to notice with this yarn, I noticed this in my Craggy Shore sock that I made, this yarn tends to shed a lot when you're knitting it up, and I don't have any other yarns except for maybe the mohair that I used by Hobby that have shed nearly as much, and I'm sure it's just a characteristic of working with 100% wool, but it's not my favorite. Like, I didn't really enjoy knitting with it in the car because of how much it shed, and like my husband and I like to have like a soda or something to drink on the way, and I was really worried that the fibers were just falling off, and like, yeah, you can sort of see how much it just sheds. I was nervous that the fibers were just falling off and like going to get into our drinks, so wasn't a huge fan of how much it sheds. That's the only thing I have to complain about it. It's also like not the softest yarn, so I don't know if I would get it again, but it was a great experience to use, and I have plenty of it to use up, so I'm sure I will use it again in the future. And I've just been keeping those in this cute little bag that I made. I love sharing this every podcast because I get so proud of like these cute little bags because I love project bags, but I've never actually bought myself one. So the fact that I can make myself one, I just get really excited about it. And I have a lot of other fabrics that I'm probably gonna make some more soon, especially with how hot the weather has been here. It is April and we went from like the coldest spring in March we've had here to like a super cold April, and then this last week has been like July weather, but without the humidity. So it's really enjoyable, but at the same time you walk outside and it's like 80 degrees. And I've never experienced like 80 something degrees in April. It's insane. It's crazy. But it's very hard to knit in this weather. So sewing typically becomes my main front, but I have plans, so I can't really pick up sewing right now. I have to finish a few projects, and then once it gets, which is funny, it looks like May is gonna be cold again, but whatever. So that is my first whip. My second one is this beaut of a sweater. This is my Lanark Sweater by Rebecca Clow. And this, if you are not sure, it is a zipper sweater, and it's in half brioche or half fisherman's rib. So you can really see the texture here of this pattern. It's very cool. And man, is this like an effort to knit on. It is definitely taking me a while, but I'm also kind of not rushing myself. I really want this to be something that I'm gonna enjoy. I really won't even be able to wear it until next year, so I'm not too upset if I don't finish it anytime soon. But I am working my way through the body, and you can see where I ran out of yarn for my first skein. I'm gonna have to just weave these ends in. The reason I didn't put it on the inside is because I used the weave and twist method for when I was joining the yarn, and it just ended up on a purl row, and I was trying to do it in reverse to be a purl, and I did it, but of course it's going to be on the side, like it's just how it works, but I can just weave it in at the end. It'll be fine. And yeah, wow, I'm getting like warm just holding it up. We don't really have central air in our apartment. We have a wall unit in our main living room kitchen area, but the bedrooms, they get really warm, and like my husband's out in the living room area watching some YouTube, and I have the door closed and I can just feel it, like, wow, it's warm. And okay, so about the Lanark sweater, this is a drop shoulder construction. So you can see here where my shoulders will be. I also did not meat gauge. I am not quite short, but I'm pretty small. My gauge is a little bit smaller than it should be. And I'm knitting the size 3, which is a little larger than the size that's recommended. I don't know, we're gonna have to see. It's gonna be a work in progress. So far from just holding it up and trying it on the few times that I did over me, I was feeling pretty comfortable, but I'm pretty much gonna have to just knit this part, the body part, to where I feel comfortable rather than what the pattern calls for. And that's like my biggest concern with this is all of my other sweaters I've knit tend to be just a shy short from where it would feel comfortably for me. So I'm hoping that like knitting this one longer, I won't get that issue. I think I only have maybe like 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of body left to knit to be comfortable, and then do some ribbing, I think is what it is for the hem. And then I'll be able to pick up stitches and knit the sleeves, and then obviously do the zipper at the end. But yeah, it like works up pretty quick once you get in the groove of it. Like, it's nice because you just go 1 round of ribbing and then you do 1 round of purls and slip stitches. So it's really quick when I knit it up, and I enjoy that part. Like, I'll sit there and I'll do like 5 or 6 rounds in what feels like relatively no time because of how simple the pattern is. So I really enjoyed that part of this. And I don't know, brioche is, I wouldn't like to do a whole sweater in full brioche because I feel like if you know how brioche works, you pretty much knit double. Whereas this, I feel like I'm knitting like time and a half. So it takes a little bit longer than it would normally take you to knit the body of a sweater or knit in general. But it's alright. I still like enjoy the pattern and I think it's really pretty. But the reason I chose to knit this sweater was because I saw really positive feedback for making a men's version. And I really want to knit my husband a sweater, contrary to his opinion. But I think it'd be really nice for me to knit it a sweater like this. I think a zipped sweater would be good because I feel like that'd be a little bit more comfortable for him. He wouldn't have to have things necessarily close or around his neck. And the yarn that I used is this Lion Brand Respun. It's 100% recycled polyester and it's super, super soft. I really do love this yarn. It's very comfortable. There's no itch at all on my skin. It feels just like a sweater you would buy in the store. So I have very good opinions of this yarn and I think he would be able to use this yarn and not feel any scratchiness or uncomfort. And I know that's one of the biggest things he has against me knitting a sweater for him is he's not very comfortable with yarns and certain things, and like he always feels like they feel very scratchy and uncomfortable on his skin. So my goal is to knit him something that he will like. Maybe he won't love, because I don't know if he'll ever love a knitted sweater. There's some people that really love knits, like me, and then there's some people that don't have a single knit in their closet, which is concerning, and I think he should have some. No, but like in reality, I'll obviously talk with him because that is a lot of effort to put in for something he won't wear. But at the end of the day, I can wear it still and I'll be fine. But I think like this color for me, and this is in the color Parchment. I used this in my lupin sweater as color work for the lupin flower, and I had quite a bit left over. So I went and picked up 2 more skeins, and I decided to knit this sweater with it. But this color for me, and then like they have a dark color called Raven for him, or even like the orangish brown one. I think it's called Cornmeal, something like that. But I think either of those would be so good on him. Or even a navy. I think a navy would look amazing on him because he's got those beautiful blue eyes. But yeah, that is the ultimate goal with the Lanark. On my last podcast, I talked a lot more about the construction of this part, the collar, and the shaping, I loved how the shaping turned out. The collar was a little bit difficult to get connected. I think it's just weird the way that it was described, and like it creates these weird holes, but like you can go in and seam them up. My only thing is I do genuinely think either the pattern, the way that you start what you're gonna do for either knitting or purling is either wrong for my size, or the stitch count is wrong for how many stitches you need to add in the body to continue closing these panels and being the same, like being in pattern. So basically like you're told to knit the front, okay, so you knit the collar, then you knit the back panel, and then you knit the front panels after, and then you basically have like a throw over, kind of like a backwards bib, I guess, and you're supposed to join right around here. You're supposed to join in the round, and then you cast on some stitches under the underarm. The amount of stitches for my size to cast on was just like X stitches, but what I needed to get in pattern was X plus 1 stitches. So I have 2 extra stitches on the body than what's called for in the pattern, because I wouldn't have been able to make this section match in the brioche pattern without adding an extra stitch. And I tried so hard to like go back through the pattern and figure out where I might have gone wrong. And it's very likely and very easily that I just missed something and again started on the wrong type of count. I got a little bit confused on the last part of the arm, so I can easily see that being a mistake on my end. But I couldn't figure it out for the life of me, and I'm convinced that they might have the stitch count off. But it's fine. It's only 2 stitches, and like the body, my gauge was small anyway, so if the body has a little bit more positive ease than necessary, I'm fine with it. I don't mind. The only thing that I should probably do that I've been procrastinating is trying it on. I'm not worried about the armhole. I think it'll be fine for the depth wise, but I'm nervous that I'm gonna not make the body long enough without fully trying it on. I just don't have the patience or the energy to take it off the needles to properly try it on, which is my own fault. I'm sure I will possibly regret that decision in the future, but we will see. It's very soft. I love this fabric. It's so squishy. Seriously, it's so squishy. But that is my Lanark sweater. Ta-da! I'm very, very excited for how that's going to come out. Okay, the last thing I have are some little goodies. I decided to take my mother-in-law to the yarn store to pick up some yarn for a gift I was going to make her for Mother's Day. I'm going to knit her some socks. And I also texted my mother like what color she'd be interested in because I want to knit her some socks. So I went to Knitting from the Heart, which is like my favorite, not really my favorite, but it's the closest yarn store I have to me. And oh my gosh, the luxury I'm about to show you. Okay, so I'll show you the first one. So my mother-in-law chose like Minnesota Wild colors. So here they are, beautiful green, this nice white as a contrasting, and red for contrasting as well. So these are her wild socks, is what she said she'd like. And the first one, actually no, that one's the best, so I'm going to save that one at the end. Okay, so I chose to grab Cascades Heritage, which is their fingering base, and it's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. I think superwash is the way to go for gifts and socks in general for me because I just love throwing them in the wash and not having to worry or care or have to like fuss with it. So we went and I just grabbed this nice simple white one for the contrasting, and this will be good because I can use it for leftovers and lots of other projects since it's white. The next one is the red, which if you are curious, this is color number 5618 and this is color number 5607. Yeah, they're 100-gram skeins. This is the star, the main of the show, and it is cashmere. Oh my gosh, I was not expecting to have cashmere in my hands at this point, and I was just like fangirling over it on the whole drive home. I was like, you bought cashmere, I get to work with cashmere, because I just never thought to just go and grab some for myself yet. But this is so soft. Oh my gosh, like these are soft, don't get me wrong, these are very soft, but this is a whole nother level of soft and I'm just obsessed. Okay, but it's this really, really pretty variegated green, and it is dreaming in color yarn. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to see what this is gonna look like knit up. But yeah, dreaming in color, and it's smooshy cashmere. So it is 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. This is a beautiful skein. So the sock that I'm gonna make her is pretty much gonna be green with some stripes of red and white on the cuff, and then red for the heel and toe. And if I'm thinking, I haven't decided yet, but I'll have to see. I might do intarsia and put like the word wild on the leg and see how that looks. I might not. It really depends how much I want to fuss with these. I have a pretty short deadline now, but it's funny because I was like, yeah, we'll go pick some out, and she originally grabbed like 2 skeins in the cashmere, and I was not expecting that, so I was like, I'm gonna go switch this one out really quick for a contrasting color, since it's only gonna be a little bit in the actual sock. Didn't think it would be a good idea to buy like $60 worth of yarn, and so yeah, even though I know I'd use it, I couldn't do that to myself. But I got her this one for the main base of the sock, and then these are just the contrasting. I'm literally obsessed with this cashmere, and I cannot wait to use it. I don't think there would be enough leftovers. Well, it's a 400 gram, no, it's 100 grams or 400 yards. So it's 4 ounces. That might be 100 grams. I don't really know. Sorry. That's usually what it is, I think. But it's 400 yards, so pretty typical hank of sock. I can't speak. It's a pretty typical hank of sock yarn. And these will be the contrast, so there'll be plenty left over. Then for my mother, and this one is just gonna be simple stockinette with some contrasting color. This is the beautiful color I got for my mother, and I'm going to be knitting her, I believe it's called the coral sock. I will insert a picture here. And she really liked those. So I gave her 3 different options. 2 are of patterns that I planned to knit for myself, seeing if she was interested, and I threw that 3rd one in there. She chose the coral one, and I'm gonna knit it in this very beautiful Cascades Heritage again. And this is the color 5751. I'm very excited to knit with this pretty pink. It's so springy. I love it. And yeah, so that is the beautiful yarns that I have gotten over this last weekend, and wow, I love adding to my yarn collection, guys. Even if they are for gifts, it makes me so happy. Does just holding yarn make you happy too? Okay, but yes, I'm very excited to be knitting with these, and I cannot wait to see their faces when I give them their beautiful socks. Now I'm gonna have to go hang them up and actually start working on them. I've waited to cake them up because I wanted to show you guys in the podcast and be a good podcaster before I just show you another sock or another sweater without actually explaining what I've been doing. I've done that too many times. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. Nice, short, and sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below. I love to meet more of you guys and hear from you. I have some very great regulars who I genuinely cherish and love your comments, like Nancy and Elizabeth, all of you guys, Rosemary. You guys have been so sweet and kind to leave comments on lots of my podcasts, and I really appreciate that. So thank you. Anyways, I hope you have a really great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!